New Orleans restructures Taysom Hill and signs him to like $3 billion, but they'll never have to pay him that money. And then they re-sign Jameis Winston. Now there's talk about an open competition between these two for the starter's job. You got to think it's Jameis, right? Like, why else bring him back at this? Why would he sign there knowing that he can sign with Chicago and be a starter, or he can sign with New Orleans and be a backup?
Yeah, so, real quick breaking news. We don't have to worry about Rob Tonyan.
Yeah, no, I have that one. I have that one written down for the end.
Okay, so Jameis Winston, I said the same thing. I don't think you sign him. And yes, it is a 1-year deal, and that Taysom Hill contract is going to, the NFL's all of a sudden going to do something. They ruined it. Just like Bill Belichick ruining things when he figured out that loophole in the formation on the field. The NFL was like, okay, cool, you did that, but now we're stopping it. I think the same thing's going to happen with that Taysom Hill nonsense. But I think both of them, they're in an open competition, in quotes, but I agree with you with the Winston situation. He's going in. I assume that he's assuming he's the front runner unless he just bombs. So if Winston's that quarterback, if Taysom Hill's a quarterback, either one of them, we know from Drew Brees is a downgrade for Kamara. Like, Kamara was in the conversation to be number 2, number 3 running back, no overall player off the board. But now with Winston, now with Hill, he takes that downturn to probably tier 2 of running backs, which isn't a huge drop, but it just takes him off that threat of being the number 2. What this really does, for especially if Winston is the quarterback, is it props up not only Michael Thomas, but whoever the number 2 wide receiver is, and then whether or not it ends up being a number 3 wide receiver or a tight end and Adam Trotman, whatever the number 3 option is going to get a boost too, because Jameis Winston doesn't get back to throwing for almost 6,000 yards, but like, what was it, 5,100 or 5,200 that year? If he only throws for 4,600, it's still more aggressive and still better than what the Saints were doing. The Saints only attempted 522 passes last year. So maybe he gets to 575, also short of his 600-plus attempts, but 575 from Winston is going to get close to 30 touchdowns again and is going to get you 4,800 yards. So, yeah, boost to everybody, but the downgrade is with Kamara, unfortunately.
And a lot of that just, I think, has to do with the receiving totals, because Jameis is not necessarily a check down king. He's not afraid to take he just loves looking downfield and forcing the ball. Maybe that's changed after being under Sean Payton a year in this system to try to
Well, that's the big thing, too. I had that. So he threw to running backs 18.9% of the time past 2 years. Alex Smith was the leader, actually, the past 2 years, but Drew Brees was second at 28.5%. So it's almost a 10% point drop to go from Brees to Winston at quarterback throwing to running backs.
One difference you could make in that is that Jameis didn't have Alvin Kamara in Tampa Bay.
Sure.
Knowing that that's such a large part of his game and how effective he can be in the passing game, that maybe we do see an uptick in that number. Maybe. I don't know.
Oh, I say uptick in number. That's why I say Kamara is not a huge, like, I'm not putting Kamara all the way down with, the James Robinson tier, which would be the tier 3 of running backs in my opinion. But it just really knocks him from being number 2.
Potentially. You could also look at it a different way, too, where whether it would be Taysom Hill or Drew Brees, that the A-dot on both those guys' passes are pretty low. Although Taysom Hill did take a few shots, that you just assume that Jameis is going to be looking down the field a little bit more, and all of a sudden the defense just can't cheat up to box in Kamara, that maybe his long runs come back again, where we saw that kind of stunted the past 2 years. Like, that would be a case, at least.
Or bigger arrow routes and wheel route yardage totals. That'd be fun too.
Yeah. So New Orleans, things are looking up if Jameis is the quarterback, probably looking down if Taysom is the quarterback.